and then you tell me when to change it, and I will change it the slide.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so sorry for this disturbance. Welcome everybody. My topic today is what does a translation lose when the poet's version is not considered. Yeah, you can change it now, please. Move it. What I talk about is the target text. If it depends only on the source text without considering the voiced version, especially by the poet, it loses a lot. Let's even take an example of the English poems, one like T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. If you just read The Wasteland and the opening line, April is the cruelest month, without even listening to Eliot's recitation of the poem, you will lose a lot. And let's take another example by Langston Hughes's Harlem or Dream Deferred. Hughes gave a recitation of the poem, and if you listen to the recitation before reading the poem itself, of course you will have a good idea about what frustration he was talking about. Again, another example is Linton Kwesi Johnson's Five Nights of Bleeding. You know that Johnson is a dub poet. And dub poetry, is difficult to understand. Otherwise, you have an idea about what dub poetry is, and it's totally different if you have this experience of listening to the poem sung before you read it. Now we move to translation. Move the slide, please. Yes, the other one. Here, what is the argument? The argument is that the poet's voice version gives life to the text and fills the gaps that the target reader will not discover while reading the poem. I started translating Yamnaz by Abdurrahman al-Abnoudi before listening to the performance of the poem by the poet, and then I listened once, twice, three times, many times, and each time there is some kind of variation. This variation is caused by the effect carried by the acoustic aspect and the paralinguistic features. I have two final versions, version A and version B, and you will see them with me in the following slides. But version B is with acoustic aspects illustrated. My idea is that if we can have some kind of key colors to the acoustic aspects, and these key colors are illustrated, and we use also the orthographic dimension, as you will see. Will this make up for the loss a translation suffers from when this acoustic aspects, or when the voice version is not considered or not? So this is a question you may answer at the end of my presentation. Move it, please. The gap is the impact of the poet's performance when translating his or her poem. That is the gap, that the impact of the performance is lost because you're just translating a script. And if you don't listen to the poet's voice, you will lose a lot. Many publications were written on literary translation, translating Arabic poetry, or translating poetry in general. But all these publications haven't focused on the point of considering the voice version while doing the translation. Move the slide, please. How to fill this gap? This paper fills the gap by illustrating the acoustic aspects in the second version of the translation of Yamna in light of the poet's voice version. Move, please. When I conducted this research, I focused on three main areas: literary translation and translation of poetry in general and Arabic poetry in particular, and translating the voiced version. Move, please. You'll see now samples of the publications I talked about. Move, please. This for the sake of time. Yes, publications. Yeah, again, thank you. Now, yes, stop here, please. Now we come to the acoustic aspect. As I told you, that my idea is to have a key or a table with the key colors that represent the acoustic aspect. Some acoustic aspects, such as the rhyme, interjection, exclamation, emotions, and intonation, are illustrated in the target text in order to show how much the target text lose if the voice version is not considered. Move, please. Here is a simple idea of the table I talk about. And here we will see that colors represent what I mean by the acoustic aspect. We have rhyme, intonation, high rising and low rising, and interjection or exclamation, emotions, size of relief, and size of regret. Now we'll see the two versions in one table, version A without considering the acoustic aspects or illustrating them, and version B illustrating the acoustic aspects. Move, please. Rhyme. When we come to rhyme, some critics say that if it comes to sound, you may sacrifice the meaning and keep sound. But here I try to keep both. In the line I'm going to quote, "My face teems with wrinkles. Whoa. Do you remember Yamna and how her face twinkles?" The meaning is implied, and the use of the word twinkles keeps both sound and meaning. So the addition here keeps both the sound and the meaning without sacrificing any of them. Move, please. When we come to the word wow, this is cultural specific sound. Why? This is the closest word I found in English language that can represent the sound created by the lips. It's not a word, by the way. She says in Arabic, "Fakir yamna wa fakir al-wish." This sound is made by just pressing your lips, and this sound is, reduced in Arabic when you would like to mock something, you'd like to give a sarcastic expression, or when you are lamenting the loss of your youth, for example, as here. So this is culturally specific. What is closest is the word wow. This untranslatable interjection is repeated when Yamna was talking about her youth. I was and I was, wow. Ana kuntu, kunt, and the same voice is produced. Move, please. Yeah, here we have an example of how interjection or exclamation is illustrated in version B. Both versions, as I told you, are final versions, but version B here is with the color keys illustrated. My question is this sufficient, or is this, making up for the loss the target text suffers when the voice version is not considered or not? Or can we just, let's say, can we, with the passage of time and with practice, make it familiar to target reader to use such kind of the table of colors? So whenever a reader sees this kind of color, it means that this is interjection. For example, this is how I want to say it. In the Arabic version, when the poem opens, Wallah shibti Abdul Rahman, this is kind of surprise, which is illustrated in the word Lu, God. Move, please. Another example here is when the aunt's narrator, the aunt's speaker, asks him if he will come and visit her next year or not. And as I see again and again, that if it can be used and if it can be accepted in the target culture, that such kind of voice translations are illustrated in this way, I think it will add a lot, as you see in this example. So move, please. Emotions like signs of relief or grief and regret can be illustrated, as we see here in version B. But it will survive till I am no longer alive. You see that this kind of emotion is illustrated by using smaller font than in version A and by using a different color. The same is with regret. So the orthographic dimension and typographic dimension can be used here to make up for the loss suffered by the target text. Move, please. When we come to high rising, which has to do with loudness of sound, you see here I used block capitals again to use the orthographic dimension along with this topographic dimension. And in the second example, some words are written in capital letters like man, bride, and sons. And it has, again, to do with the Arabic culture or the Egyptian culture in particular, because they favor boys. You know, people would like to have boys rather than girls, which is, of course, wrong. So she tells him here, man likes to bride in having sons. So move, please. Again with high rising, and this is very important, which is associated with loudness of voice. As you see in version B, all words are written in block capitals, because in the original, the poet himself recites this saying, أول ما يجيك الموت افتح، أول ما ينادي عليك اجلح، أنت الكسبان، اوعى تحسبها حساب، بلا واد بلا بت، ده زمن يوم ما يصدق كذاب. So his voice, the poet's voice, raises here because now we are in front of the naked truth, death. And death, when death summons, even kings must obey. Don't think of your daughters and sons, okay? Just think of yourself. So go and leave this world. So here, high rising is associated with the feelings packed in these lines. Move, please. Low rising, now you see that it is represented orthographically by using smaller font and by using some kind of light color, okay, to go with the feelings that are packed in this acoustic aspect. And of course, you see that low rising associated with feelings of regret for living all alone for a long time. But the orthographic aspect sometimes does not convey emotions. So what we are running for as translators, this, the lettera grabada, the acousticity of voice in the dialect of Al-Abnudi or any other poet who uses dialect, in the voiced version that the translator has attempted to capture and render in the target text. Move, please. We come to the conclusion. The poet's voice version gives life to the text and fills in the gaps that the target reader will not discover while reading the poem. As you see, this has been proved by translating Al-Abnudi's Yamna after listening to his voice version many times. And both versions here, A and B, are final, but the version B is with acoustic aspect illustrated. Each time of listening is a modification of translation. The second version under Appendix B or under version B here, of course, is the last modification. Therefore, this paper fills the gap created by ignoring the voice version by discussing the translation of Yamna in light of the poet's voiced version. As a conclusion, the voice's power of expression, the paralinguistic features of the voice, speed, loudness, tone, intonation, etc., can change the translated version of a poem that excludes the voiced version of the source text. I even asked Jamie Monday in an email 2 years ago about this, and he said that, of course, this is very important. While translating a poem, you should listen to the post performance if it is available. And when I started writing this paper, I tried it, and now I see that this is important for the translation to be wholesome. Move, please. So, Further studies, what I wish to be able to carry, creating a voice translation in parallel to the source voiced version. Suppose that you saw that this illustration is not enough. Why not creating a voice translation? So we can, the translator can translate the text, and then he can record it after listening many times, of course, to the original voiced poem in his own voice, trying to capture all the acoustic aspects and paralinguistic features. And then he can conduct a study detecting the emotional impact of the voice version on the target reader's response. This question may be answered. Will a voiced translation make up for the losses a written translation suffer from? This is my question to you. And if so, will a voice translation replace the target text in this case? Move, please. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.